Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. This large box arrived from Airfix last week after I made a purchase at a whopping 50% off from the Airfix site. Now within this bubble wrap you can probably see the box of what is called Airfix Presents Blood Red Skies. So once I get rid of this bubble wrap, you may already be familiar with Blood Red Skies, which is an aerial dogfight from Warlord Games. This was developed by the very well-known Andy Chambers and has been around for a few years. So what is this collaboration with Airfix? Well, let's have a look at the box. Firstly, this is the Battle of Britain, so we have some nice art of a Spitfire downing a 109. On the reverse, you can see a layout of a game in progress, showing the various components. One thing to note is that this set, despite costing £70 RRP, only has a single Airfix flying hour, which feels very cheap. So the next thing is to get the cellophane off and take a look inside the box. Now again, just one point to note on a practical basis is that your single Airfix flying hour is part of the main box outer, which is a terrible design decision as it means cutting the game box to redeem it. So the first thing you get inside the box are 4 full kits, 2 Spitfires and 2 ME109s. So at a price point of £35 in the 50% sale, that already makes the box a decent value even without the game, as you're getting these for less than £9 each. Underneath the kits, we then have the game components. First up is a bag of bespoke dice, which are a good size and feel pretty weighty. Next up are some bases made of a hard, but slightly flexible plastic, which is an interesting balance as it's very rigid but not brittle, something I've not really seen before, as clear non-brittle parts tend towards the rather toy-like and bendy plastic that never seems to have cooled in a flat plane. Unfortunately, the flight stand that I then picked up to fit in this was broken, and is going to require an email to Airfix customer support to get replaced. The other 3 were intact though, and they seem to have defined positions which I'm guessing will have some meaning in the game. We then have a chunky frame of game components, which looks like a Warlord Games item rather than an Airfix one, which makes absolute sense being that this is already an existing game. Next are a set of propeller discs, since this is an aerial combat game and our aircraft will be in flight. One thing I am surprised that these aren't kiss cut. Next is a kiss cut piece of thin card with the terrain pieces, barrage balloons and clouds, together with some tokens. Now the thinness of the card makes sense here since your aircraft bases will be travelling over these and you don't want big discrepancies in height. We then have 2 more sheets of kiss cut tokens, but these made from a much sturdier card. The only issue I have here is that the tokens printed on the prior card are some of the same as these, so they're not exactly going to be as sturdy as these ones, which is a bit of a shame. We then have what I think is the most disappointing area of this box set, and that is the approach to the multilingual rules. We have 5, count them, yes, 5 complete and separate rulebooks, each in a different language. Now I understand wanting to minimise logistics, but I can't see that this is either cost effective, given the printing and additional weight for distribution, nor environmentally friendly. After all, 80% of this will be headed for the recycling centre at best, and at worst for landfill. The actual production quality and contents of the rulebook are great, with semi-gloss full colour pages and plenty of diagrams, which then kind of makes it worse that you're going to dispose of most of them. We then come to the kit instructions, which are a single semi-gloss booklet covering the assembly of both kits, and these appear to be directly copied from the individual kits as they show both canopy and landing gear options, which of course are not needed here. Decals for the 4 aircraft are consolidated onto a single sheet, however, allowing you to model different aircraft code numbers. We then have a set of cards, which actually turn out to be just 2 cards, one for each aircraft type, again with the same unnecessary replication in 4 more languages each. So what are my impressions of this Airfix version of Blood Red Skies? Well, I have a few thoughts. The broken stand is unfortunate, and it would be really disappointing had I bought this to get into playing immediately, but these things happen, and it's obviously just one of those QC things that got through, since it was very well packaged, so I don't think it broke in transit. Getting 4 Airfix kits in the box means that it's worth the 50% off price, though I probably wouldn't ever have bought it for the full price, especially as the normal game is around £25. That's worth bearing in mind because the scale of the kits is an issue here. 1/72 is quite small for scale models, but very large compared to the normal, nominal 1 in 200 scale that this game supposedly uses as a standard. That's around 3 times as big in all dimensions, and it might lead to some play issues. The replication of the books and cards might have been the least cost or easiest method of protection, but it adds a lot of weight to the box. In fact, over a quarter of the total box weight is in excess unused paper, and it just seems really wasteful. The single Airfix flying hour is really stingy, especially given how much you're spending and the relative value of flying hours. Check my video linked here on that if you've not seen it yet. And its inclusion on the outer box makes no sense when this will keep your game components, and it could easily have been included on the instructions as an alternative. Bear in mind that if you were buying 4 Airfix 1/72 scale kits, you would get 4 flying hours. Now, I've not played the game at all yet, but my son is coming over for the Royal International Air Tattoo in July, so we'll play it then and give you an update at that time. In the interim though, this is a bit of a mixed bag, or a mixed box. There's some really nice production quality here. The 4 Airfix kits is good, but there's some scale issues, and we'll actually see if that comes into bearing when we actually play the game, but the wastefulness of the multilingual support seems just out of place and out of step with the current kind of thinking on these things, so we'll actually have to see how things pan out. Now before you go, if you didn't see my video on the JMB Tiger, I'm going to be giving that set away. The draw is available to all subscribers, so check out that video for details. Alternatively, you can join the channel here on YouTube or on my Patreon to be automatically entered with multiple tickets to have a better chance of winning. It just remains then for me to thank those wonderful patrons and channel members for their fantastic support. That's all for this instalment of Man's Model Moments. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel for more like it, and share this video with others you think would also enjoy it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and if you're feeling generous then I also have a Patreon, which is absolutely the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like this. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.